Emily Saunders gently brushed a strand of hair away from her face as she peered into the dimly lit attic of her ancestral home. The small town of Willow Creek, with its cobblestone streets and whispering willows, had always been a place of hidden stories and quiet histories. Now, as she sifted through dusty boxes and old family memorabilia, Emily felt a connection to these long-forgotten tales. A young artist with a penchant for the past, Emily had always been drawn to the charm and mystery of old objects. Her attic, a time capsule of sorts, was filled with such relics. As she moved a stack of faded newspapers, a small bundle caught her eye. Tied with a delicate, frayed ribbon, it was a stack of letters, yellowed with age. Intrigued, Emily carefully untied the ribbon and unfolded the top letter. The handwriting was elegant, the ink faded but still legible. "My dearest," it began, the words flowing with a warmth and intimacy that transcended time. These were love letters, Emily realized, each one a heartfelt message from a man named Thomas, dated back to the 1920s. As she read, Emily was transported to another era. Thomas wrote of his days, his dreams, and, most poignantly, his love for someone he held dear. His words were filled with passion and longing, each letter a window into a bygone world of romance and eloquence. Captivated, Emily lost track of time, her heart fluttering with each word. She wondered about this mysterious Thomas, about the life he led, and the love he felt. The last letter ended with a promise of a return, a hope for a future that Emily knew, from the silence of the letters that followed, never came to be. She placed the letters back in their bundle, her mind swirling with questions. That night, under the soft glow of her bedside lamp, Emily made a whimsical decision. With a smile, she took out a piece of paper and penned a response to Thomas, addressing the decades that separated them, half in jest and half in a dreamlike curiosity. As she placed her own letter in the attic the next day, a part of her laughed at the silliness of it all. Yet, as she walked away, there was a small, hopeful part of her that wondered, almost believed, in the magic of these timeless letters. Over the following days, Emily's thoughts often drifted to the attic and the letters. Her whimsical reply to Thomas lingered in her mind like a secret shared with a friend from another time. She found herself imagining his life, his world, and the person he was writing to. It was a pleasant escape from her routine, a playful indulgence in the romanticism of the past. One lazy afternoon, driven by a mix of curiosity and an inexplicable sense of anticipation, Emily climbed back up to the attic. The sunlight streamed through the small window, casting a warm glow over the dusty space. She approached the spot where she had left her letter, expecting to find it just as she left it. To her astonishment, tucked beneath where her letter had been, lay a new envelope, yellowed with age, but undeniably new to her. Her heart skipped a beat as she picked it up, her name, Emily, written in the same elegant script as Thomas's previous letters. The room seemed to spin around her as she opened the envelope. Inside, the letter was dated a few weeks after the last one she had read. Thomas wrote of receiving a peculiar letter from the future, expressing disbelief yet responding with a warmth and earnest curiosity that mirrored her own. He spoke of the strangeness of time, of the connection they seemed to have despite the years that separated them. Emily sat back, the letter trembling in her hands. It was impossible, yet the evidence lay before her. A conversation had begun across time, between her, a modern-day artist, and Thomas, a man from the 1920s. The attic, once just a repository of old memories, had become a bridge to a most extraordinary correspondence. Their exchange continued over weeks. Thomas shared tales of his life in the 1920s, the jazz-filled nights, the whispered promises of a world on the brink of change. Emily wrote of her world, of technology and changes Thomas could scarcely have imagined. In each letter, they found comfort and understanding, a shared solitude that spanned decades. But as the novelty of their unusual connection evolved into a deeper, more emotional bond, Emily found herself grappling with the surreal nature of their correspondence. She was drawn to Thomas, his words, his spirit, and it scared her. How could she feel so connected to someone who was, for all intents and purposes, a ghost from the past? The letters became her secret, a hidden part of her life that she cherished and feared. She longed to understand the mystery of these exchanges, the how and why of it all. Her heart ached for more letters, more of Thomas, more of a story that was as enchanting as it was impossible. It was during a late-night reading of one of Thomas's letters that Emily stumbled upon a clue. He mentioned a local event, a fair that was a highlight of his year. Curious, Emily researched the fair and discovered a surprising piece of history. There, in the faded pages of a local history book, was a photo of the fair from the 1920s. And in that photo, among the smiling faces, was Thomas. The realization hit her like a wave. Thomas was real. His life, his love, his letters, they weren't just figments of her imagination or unexplained anomalies. They were pieces of a past that had somehow, inexplicably, reached into her present. With this revelation, Emily's connection to Thomas deepened. She felt closer to him than ever, yet the impossibility of their situation weighed heavily on her heart. A man from the past, a woman from the present. Their love was a beautiful, yet seemingly unattainable dream. As autumn painted the town of Willow Creek in hues of orange and gold, Emily's world had become a tapestry of emotions, woven with the threads of her letters with Thomas. Each new letter was a treasure, a moment of connection that defied time, yet it also deepened the ache of their impossible reality. Emily's days were filled with a mixture of joy and melancholy. She found herself wandering the streets of Willow Creek, half expecting to see Thomas around a corner or sitting in the park, his pen poised over a letter. The town, with its timeless charm, seemed to whisper secrets of the past, fueling her longing for a man she knew she could never meet. The intensity of her feelings scared her. She knew she was in love with Thomas, a man separated from her by an unbridgeable gap of time. This realization brought a sense of despair. How could her heart yearn so strongly for someone who was, in every practical sense, a phantom? In a moment of emotional turmoil, Emily decided to seek answers. She delved into the town's archives, searching for any trace of Thomas. Hours of scouring old records and newspapers led her to a startling discovery. Thomas had been a prominent figure in Willow Creek, known for his charm and wit. But his life was marked by a mysterious end. He had disappeared without a trace in the late 1920s, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. This revelation hit Emily hard. Thomas's disappearance, his unfinished story, mirrored the incomplete nature of their own connection. It was a bond built on words and feelings, yet destined to remain unfulfilled. Amidst this emotional chaos, Emily penned a letter to Thomas, pouring her heart out. She wrote of her discovery, her love for him, and the pain of knowing they could never be together. She expressed her gratitude for his words, for the window he had opened into a past she had come to cherish. With a heavy heart, Emily climbed to the attic to leave her letter, the attic that had become their sanctuary across time. As she placed her letter next to the dwindling stack of unanswered ones, tears blurred her vision. The magic of their correspondence, which had brought her so much joy, now seemed like a cruel reminder of a love that could never be. That night, as Emily lay in bed, she felt an overwhelming sense of loss. The letters had changed her, opened her heart to a love that was as deep as it was impossible. She realized that regardless of the answers she sought, some mysteries were meant to remain unsolved, some loves were meant to live only in the heart. In the silence of her room, Emily whispered a goodbye to Thomas, to their shared moments, to a love that had transcended time but was never meant to transcend its boundaries. In the weeks that followed, Emily's life returned to a semblance of normality, but the echoes of her correspondence with Thomas lingered in every corner of her existence. The attic, once a place of mystery and excitement, now held a bittersweet significance. The letters, her cherished connection to Thomas, lay untouched, a poignant reminder of a love that could never be. Emily's art, always a reflection of her inner world, began to transform. Her canvases, once filled with vibrant landscapes and abstract forms, now bore the subtle influence of her journey through the letters. Hues of sepia and shades of nostalgia crept into her work, each stroke a tribute to the story that had unfolded in her heart. As she painted, Emily found solace in the act of creation. Her brushes wove the emotions she had experienced with Thomas into visual narratives, allowing her to express what words could not. It was a therapeutic process, one that helped her come to terms with the unique bond they had shared. Gradually, Emily's perspective began to shift. She realized that her experience with Thomas, however improbable and fleeting, was a gift. It had opened her eyes to the power of connection, to the beauty of opening one's heart, regardless of the outcome. The letters had not only connected her to Thomas but had also deepened her connection to herself and her art. In this newfound understanding, Emily found a quiet strength. She embraced the memories, allowing them to be part of her story without defining it. The letters had been a journey, one that had brought her joy, sorrow, and ultimately, growth. As autumn gave way to winter, Emily decided it was time to bid a final farewell to the letters. With a gentle resolve, she gathered them, tying them once again with the ribbon that had bound them for so long. Placing them in a wooden box, she decided to keep them as a cherished keepsake, a testament to a love that was as real as it was ethereal. In her final act of closure, Emily wrote one last letter to Thomas. She thanked him for the joy and wonder he had brought into her life, for showing her the timeless nature of love and connection. She wrote of moving forward, carrying the lessons and memories in her heart. With a sense of peace, Emily placed the letter in the box with the others. This box, a simple wooden container, was now a treasure chest of a love story that had transcended the bounds of time and reality, a story that Emily would cherish forever. In the quiet of the attic, as Emily closed the lid of the box, she felt a gentle release. The story of Emily and Thomas, a tale of timeless letters, had reached its end, but its impact would resonate through her life for years to come. Years passed, and Emily's life unfolded in beautiful and unexpected ways. Her art gained recognition, her heart found new reasons to smile, yet the memory of Thomas and their letters remained a cherished part of her past. On a crisp autumn evening, as Emily walked through the familiar streets of Willow Creek, she found herself outside her old house, now occupied by new faces and new stories. The sight of the attic window brought a soft smile to her lips. It was there, in that small, dusty space, that she had experienced something extraordinary, something that defied explanation. As she strolled along, Emily's thoughts drifted back to those days. The letters had taught her the power of connection, the beauty of opening one's heart to the unknown. They had been a journey through time, a dance with the past that had enriched her present. With a deep sense of gratitude, Emily realized how the experience had shaped her. The letters had not just been about a romance with a man from another era. They had been a journey of self-discovery. They had pushed her to explore the depths of her emotions, to embrace the unpredictable nature of life and love. Now, as she gazed at the stars twinkling above Willow Creek, Emily felt a profound connection to the world around her, to the tapestry of stories and lives that intertwined with her own. The letters from Thomas, though a distant memory, had left an indelible mark on her heart, a reminder of the endless possibilities that life held. In that moment, under the starlit sky, Emily whispered a silent thank you to Thomas, wherever he might be. Their story, written in timeless letters, had been a chapter in her life, one filled with wonder, love, and an enchanting mystery that would forever linger in the corners of her heart. And as she walked on, the crisp autumn air swirling around her, Emily carried with her the lessons of the past, the joys of the present, and the hopeful promise of the future. The story of the timeless letters had ended, but its echoes would resonate in her life, in her art, and in her soul, forevermore. Several years later, in the heart of Willow Creek, a small art exhibition drew the attention of the town's residents. Among the various artworks, one particular collection stood out, drawing viewers into a world of sepia tones, nostalgic scenes, and a subtle, yet poignant sense of longing. The artist, Emily Saunders, now well known for her unique style, mingled among the crowd, her eyes reflecting the pride and passion of a creator sharing her vision with the world. Each piece told a story, a narrative deeply influenced by her journey through the letters with Thomas. As visitors admired the artwork, they were drawn to a series of paintings that seemed to capture the essence of a bygone era. These pieces, rich with emotion and depth, depicted scenes of a quaint town, an attic filled with memories, and ethereal images of a man from the past, his figure woven into the tapestry of each canvas. What the onlookers didn't know was that these paintings were Emily's homage to her extraordinary experience, a visual representation of her correspondence with Thomas. Through her art, she had found a way to keep their story alive, to share its beauty and mystery with the world. In the corner of the exhibition, a small, unassuming wooden box sat on a pedestal, a piece of art in its own right. Inside, carefully preserved, were the letters, now a part of Emily's history, a part of the town's folklore. As the exhibition drew to a close, Emily stood by the window, looking out at the town that had been the backdrop of her incredible journey. The letters had been more than just a connection to Thomas. They had been a gateway to her own heart, a catalyst for her art, and a reminder of the endless possibilities that life offered. With a contented sigh, Emily turned back to her guests, her heart full of gratitude for the past and excitement for the future. The story of the timeless letters had become a part of her, a chapter that would continue to inspire and shape her life in ways she could never have imagined.